It's a pleasure to get to speak here this afternoon. And this topic, though, I have to admit, is a bit more anxiety-raising than usually when I get a chance to talk, because it's a little bit more personal. I'm going to talk a little bit about my kids and what I want for them and for their teachers and for their schools. I'm going to tell a story not about what I think the future of education could be or should be or what it might be in 20 years or what I want for what it should be around the world, but what I want for my own children. What is it that I want for my kids as they go through school? I have an interesting job. I'm a teacher, but I have this interesting role I have right now as superintendent. In my job as superintendent, I have this great fortune of connecting on a daily basis with students and with teachers and with parents and others in the community, all really informing my thinking around education. And then I have these other wonderful opportunities to connect even beyond the district. And because of my role, I have these great pleasures of getting to travel to some places and see how others do it. And all of these different pieces are really influential in my thinking in terms of where I think education should be going. But you know, it's really my role and my profession as a teacher have some influence. There's other places that influence me. So I'm a dad. Here's me with 3 of my children. So I'm a dad of 4 children, Elizabeth in grade 5, Nicholas in grade 4, Zachary in grade 1, and Catherine just finishing a 3-year-old preschool. And those interactions have such an influence too on what I think about education and what I want for my kids and what I want really for all kids. You know, I really think actually we come to this all with multiple hats. And sometimes, you know, we say, well, I'm going to put my parenting hat on here. Well, I'm going to take off my parenting hat. I'm putting on my teacher hat. I'm putting on my principal hat. We all wear multiple hats all the time. And it's that convergence of all of those different parts that influence our thinking. I don't think we can I can't separate myself from the teacher or my role as superintendent or from my most important job as dad. I can't pull those apart. All of those come together and really influence what I want. So I want to talk a bit about hopes and dreams. Hopes and dreams for my kids, but also the hopes and dreams for my kids are the hopes and dreams for your kids, and really what I want for all kids. There's some terms out there right now in education that get used a lot. I use these a lot. I give presentations, I talk about, it's pretty exciting. We're in a time of transformation. And everybody kind of nods their heads. We like that. We're big, you know, transformation, that's good. We want that. And we talk about inquiry. You know, we're getting kids to ask questions and you know, it's less teacher-directed, more student-directed. Again, nods of the head. You know, these are the kinds of presentations, and we're hearing lots of them right now. And it's really exciting stuff that's happening. And in the talk around personalization, you know, when you talk about personalized learning for every student, you know, what I find is there isn't a big pushback from the depersonalized, you know, groups in society. We need, you know, that when you talk about personalized learning, you generally get, yeah, that's what we want. That you don't get a lot of pushback from those saying, well, we want actually less of that. We want more depersonalized learning. You know, but out of that comes these big ideas, and sometimes I think we live at 30,000 feet. And so I want to talk about something more concrete than that. More concrete than these terms, which all are easy to create head nods, but we sometimes aren't exactly sure what it is. What does that actually look like? When you get like kids in a class, what does that look like? So here are some things I want. For my kids, I want to be connected. I want to be connected to their teacher. I want to be connected to their learning. I want to be connected to their school. I have a pesky day job. It makes it pretty hard for me to get to my kids' school. I think I've been there twice while it's been in session over the last 6 years. I'm 6 years now into a 21-year relationship with K-12, so I've been there twice. So the odds of that, I'll probably get to, in my 21 years with 4 kids going through 13 years each, maybe I'll get there 10 times at this rate. I need more than that. I need to be connected, and we have some tools that can connect classes to me on a regular basis. And so I need my kids' teachers to be digitally connected. And for that can look very different. And for some, that can be email updates. And for others, that's that blog. And what I love about what a lot of my kids' teachers are doing now is that they're taking photos and posting them in places that I can see them, or posting little videos. And I know it's another thing. And teaching is an exceptionally complex, hard job, and it's already a job that's all-consuming. But this makes a big difference for me as a dad, because I can't get to their classrooms, but I want to be connected to their learning. I want to know what I can do when I come home at night that can support what you did during the day as their teacher. And so it's another thing. But whatever you can do as my child's teacher to connect with me, connect using those powerful digital tools. You don't have to be an expert. There are simple ways and simple entry points. I've also become convinced in my professional role and now as a father that we need to be doing less homework, especially at younger ages. That homework is often used for us who really believe that we should have high expectations, that we want to show that we have standards. Well, we don't need to pile on homework to show that we have high standards in our classrooms. And absolutely, there's work to do at home. Home reading is really powerful. There are some things you can do at home that you can't do at school. If you give assignment where my child has to talk to a member of the community or work with me as a parent, that's wonderful. If it's really true extensions that you extend out the school day that we can pick up again tomorrow, that you're going to pick up in class, let's do more of that. But let's not do homework for homework's sake. Because I got to tell you as a parent, it gets in the way. It gets in the way because I don't get home till 6 or 7 at night. And then if we are stressed at the kitchen table around homework, I actually don't get to have meaningful conversations with my kids. And I want my kids to explore other things at home. I want them to be athletes. I want them to be artists. I want them to be musicians. I want them to pursue passions. And they need time. And that if we're always rushing because we know we've got to get homework done for the next day, that gets in the way of life. And so we need less of it. I'm a proud dad, and I got to admit something here. My son Nicholas last year was well on his way to being home reading champion at the school. It's kind of a big deal. So here's how home reading worked for him. 10 books equals a sticker. Stickers go on the wall. Kid with the most stickers wins. So Nicholas was winning until we said we stop. We quit home reading. Because what home reading was for Nicholas is he would get as many level 1 books as he could and bring home the most he could any night and would read them and get me to sign the little sheet. And that if he was allowed to bring 10 home a night, he'd bring 10 home, and he'd get a sticker every single day. It wasn't about reading. I want my kids to love reading. So once we stopped that, and he's reading Harry Potter, he's reading a bunch of other things now, and he's exploring passions, and he's exploring his reading. It's the reading is the prize. The stickers aren't the prize. I think of social responsibility. My kids love the Terry Fox run because they get cancer research. They get what Terry Fox did for this country. They get that power. They get Free the Children. They get Mark and Craig Kielburger when they talk about making a difference in the world. We actually, to make kids socially responsible, don't need to give them pizza lunches. We don't need to give them skipping ropes for $25 that they raise towards a fund or free Frisbees. We should engage them in the causes, engage them in the work. And because that's the true prize. Those are the skills that we want. Those are the skills I want for my kids. And we need to give them space. My daughter Elizabeth says her favorite times at school is just where there's space, where it's not 40 minutes, 40 minutes, 40 minutes. And she's been blessed with some wonderful teachers who give hour-and-a-half chunks or even longer to explore topics over days, over weeks, and even over months. Ask questions and find answers. Let's give more space during the day. And it's anxiety raising because I knew as a student, I had mine in chunks. I kind of appreciate it when my kid's school looks kind of like mine looked like, but we actually know better now. Let's give space during the day for kids to explore passions. I'm far from a perfect teacher. I have to admit that 3 consecutive years, I used Happy Gilmore as a Law 12 teacher on the 2 days before Christmas. Somehow I rationalized that, actually I was just trying to be the cool teacher. Well, I was partly trying to be the cool teacher, and you know what the other thing that I realized now looking back on it? I had stuff I had to do. I had marking I had to do. I had cleanup before Christmas I had to do. So I showed a Hollywood film. But what message was I sending? What message was I sending there about what my time and versus my students' time and how important that was? What a lesson I learned, what I learned from that as a young teacher who was trying to just be cool to what I've learned now as my daughter, when they show a Hollywood film, she asks my wife and I to write a note to excuse her so she can come home. Because it's not valuable, it's not engaging, it's not important. What's the message we're sending to kids? We have to be really careful when we use this kind of busy work. When students complete their math their math worksheet, and we say color it in if you have extra, when you're done. We have to be really careful about that because that sends a message. That that there are times that we just need to use busy work. I get that, but we have to use it sparingly. Because what we also know is this data. Kids come in totally enthused when they enter school, in kindergarten, and that slowly drops. And that by the time students get to grade 9, only about 1 in 3 are engaged. How are we going to change that? And this is only part of the answer, but we need to be thinking about how we stop that dip. And even at the end, in grade 12, less than half of our students are reporting that they're engaged or feel enthusiastic about schooling. We have to find better than that. I know when my kids bring home an A, that's like high five, fist pump. I know when they get a C, that's like the frown. So my kids could have like a B. I actually don't know what the response is. Hey, I got a B. See, like, I don't know how we're supposed to respond to that. Because you know what? The truth is, another thing, we need to be doing less of this, especially at young ages. We don't need to be sorting grade 4 and 5 students. We don't need winners and losers of 9-year-olds. Let's be better than that. I don't really care what my kids' letter grades are. What I know is I want them to move from where they are now to a new place. I want the help to know how they go from that to the next spot. We can do better than this. We need to stop sorting and stop ranking students, especially at young ages, and we need to focus on learning. And when it comes down to teachers, what I really want you to do for my kids is just matter. Be interested and be interesting. I want you to do both. Ask them about their hockey game on the weekend. Ask them about what they love and what they're interested in. And tell them about what you love and what interests you. And if you're a musician, share that with them. Share your passions and let them share their passions with you. I really struggled as a reader. So in grade 1, everybody got readers. The nice colored readers that everybody got, all but 2 of us. I wasn't good enough to get a reader in grade 1. I got sheets of paper stapled together because I wasn't ready for the reader. I remember it. I remember that really vividly still. And then my grade 2 teacher, Mrs. Caffrey, she gave me Mr. Bump. So Mr. Bump, that little gesture, changed things for me. I ended up, through Christmases and birthdays and other occasions over the next 2 or 3 years, getting the whole series, and I'd read them every night with my parents. And that was like my gateway book, and on to the Hardy Boys and those things that followed afterwards. Little gestures make a big difference from what teachers do. I remember Mr. Nakanishi, my grade 5 teacher. He opened the gym every Wednesday night for those that wanted to come play basketball. That little thing has led to a lifelong relationship for me with the sport. And I kind of wanted to be like Mr. Whitehead, my grade 6 teacher, and every Friday afternoon when we were doing art, he put on Dancing in the Dark and Glory Days in the background, and we listened to Springsteen. Little things, right? The little things are often the big things, though, in the classrooms. Really, what I'm asking is just ask about what interests them and be interested and share what interests you. Those little things make a big difference. When Mr. Taylor, my grade 7 teacher, engaged me in student leadership, and when Ms. Bourne, my grade 10 English teacher, wouldn't tolerate mediocre work from me, or Mr. Commons, when I had in grade 12 for history, made me want to be a history teacher one day. That's the power that we have. It is an exciting time. Huge transformation that we're going in. Teaching's going to look different. Learning looks different. Schooling looks different. We hear that all the time. There are these big shifts happening, and we need to make those happen. At the same time we're making those big shifts, there's a bunch of little things. They're not even new. They don't cost a lot of money. These little things that we can do that we've known are the right things and that we can do that make a huge difference. At the core, teachers matter. All the research says, what's the most important factor? The quality of the relationship between the teacher and the students in the room. Teachers matter. Mrs. Caffrey mattered for me. So did Mr. Nakanishi and Mr. Whitehead and Mr. Taylor and Ms. Bourne and Mr. Commons and so many others. So do those teachers that I get to work with every day here in West Vancouver and who inspire me. So do my kids' teachers, and I see that already. They are inspired, and those teachers are making a difference in their lives. Teachers just matter. And what I want is, I want my kids' teachers to love my kids, and I want my kids to love their teachers. And sometimes we don't use those words, but we should. That's what I want. I love my teachers. My teachers love me. That was powerful. That's what we want. That's what I want for my kids. You know, at the end, there are these big changes. And in public education right now, we need to invest more money in it. Absolutely, there needs to be more money in public education. And there are some other big changes that we need in our system. And we need to embrace the digital technologies and figure out where we're going to go next. And we need to embrace inquiry and personalized learning for every student. And we need to do all those big things. But while we're doing all those big things, let's make sure we take care of all those little things as well. For my kids, for your kids, and for all kids. Thanks for allowing me to share some of my parenting wishes.